This is Street Fighter Alpha 3. Here comes a new challenger. That's enough! Unbeatable!
This is the Alpha Street Fighter Alpha 3 podcast with your hosts, Quest and Lukefitz.
It's showtime!
Well, hello and welcome to a very special leap year edition of the Street Fighter Alpha 3 podcast. I'm Luke and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, The Quest. And today we have a very special guest, our first guest on the podcast. And it's going to be the man, the myth, the legend, NovemberGolf. So I'm sure if you've played Street Fighter Alpha 3 on Fightcade, you know this username. You've probably seen that he plays most of the cast. He's an absolute legend of the scene, one of the best players of Street Fighter Alpha 3 ever produced from Australia. I mean, that's just unquestioned. And so, we're going to be getting to know the man behind the screen, the man behind the mysterious username NovemberGolf, maybe where that comes from, his background in Alpha 3 and all that good stuff. And we're also going to be doing a review of the last tournament, number 7. As always, a lot of drama, a lot of excitement to do with that tournament, so we'll be reviewing some of the matches. And also probably some discussion on the goings-on in the Discord chat. There's a lot of controversy, a lot of differing opinions, a lot of conversation. So, it's all happening. But for now, for our first segment, I'm going to hand over to my co-host, The Quest, for his first exclusive interview with one of Australia's finest Alpha 3 players, NovemberGolf. So over to you, The Quest.
Thank you, Luke. We know you know NovemberGolf as a very strong Alpha 3 player. But what was the first Street Fighter game that you've played before?
Oh, geez. That'd be actually probably Alpha 3, to be honest.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, man. I kind of just grew up on this and then just kept playing it. Yeah. The only other ones I would have played would have been like X-Men vs. Street Fighter and some of the other Marvel series.
What console or system did you start off with Alpha 3?
PS1.
Oh, so you had
Is that
the
arcade perfect? Is
Sorry?
that proven to be arcade perfect?
Oh, geez. You'd have to ask Allo that.
Yeah, Elo had a lot of heated discussions about that as well. But I advise anyone to check out Elo's video on comparing the different versions of Alpha 3. How long have you been playing Alpha 3 for?
Jeez. Probably close to 15 to 20 years. I mean, like competitively probably only 10 to 15. It's been
Only
breaks
10
here
to
and there.
15. Wow.
God, basically a beginner.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 15, and because I've heard Elo saying before that he used to play you back in the day even. So was that around when you started, or?
No. So I started just like, I guess, any noob. But then I started to pick up Guy and like his really powerful combos, and I thought it was pretty interesting. And then, there wasn't really much of a competitive scene if I'm just playing on PS1. So I was just pretty much beating up the computer all day. But yeah, when I met Allo, that was when like I actually versed someone who could actually play, and I was like, holy crap, man, there's a lot more to this game than I thought. So
So you guys knew each other in real life before playing online?
We met through Alpha 3 actually not met through Alpha 3. We met.
Oh, well, that's so romantic.
Yeah, I know. And we've been together ever since. No, I'm just kidding. We met over a group dinner, and we just randomly was talking about Street Fighter somehow. That just came up, and then we were like, man, we both play Alpha. And so yeah, we just connected over that and decided to schedule a showdown.
Like from personal experience, when you meet somebody that isn't a computer, it's motivating to get better at the game, I find. Like, did you find that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like for me, I'm probably one of the more competitive kinds of people, and so I had a lot of motivation to try and I guess get the upper hand on him. But yeah, he was a lot better than I expected, and then later on, once he started learning the V's and custom combos, that's when he started whooping my ass, and I was like, crap, I got to learn this thing.
Yeah, he's quite good at that. He's recorded a bunch of those, the series of V's and combos, and a lot of characters he can get it perfect. So it's very impressive, his input ability.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I was thinking today, like, about your name, NovemberGolf. Now I couldn't come up with any ideas as to what this actually means, but what does it mean?
Oh man, yeah, my secret identity is gonna be blown.
Yeah, what's an exclusive interview? You gotta give us the good stuff. You know?
Yeah, well, the phonetic alphabet, like Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta,
Oh,
Yeah,
see.
so November is N and golf is G. And so, like, I guess that could double up as many things. It could be my initials. It could be something else. But it's supposed to
It could be a common Southeast Asian last name. It's possible.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was thinking as well. Well, that's crazy. I guess I never would have solved that one.
Yeah, most people don't pick up on it for some reason. I guess it's not as
for
blatant.
some reason.
It's not as blatant as, like, Alpha Charlie or something like that.
Yeah, well,
Is this a world exclusive? Has anyone ever been told this before?
What's that? It's a pretty universally known convention.
Yeah, but I guess, is this the first time you've put, on the record definitively that that's where the name comes from? I'm just trying to get a sense if this is a world scoop.
Actually it is. Yeah, I've never.
Wow, you heard it here first. This is it. Where does the quest come from, by the way? What does the quest mean?
Well, that's for a future podcast, Luke. I can't give away.
Okay.
I've already dropped one secret,
Guys,
okay.
He's playing hard to get.
Yeah, I'm playing hard to get. I gotta play hard to get with Luke. No hurt.
Damn, I'm
So in your rivalry with Dr. Allo, who's Ryu and who's Ken?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I don't know. It depends on what characteristics you're looking at. I'd probably say, in terms of flair, I'd probably be Ken. I think I play more randomly, and with, like, he's very precise. If you look at his style, it's very mechanical, and maybe Ryu with his sort of disciplined character might represent Allo better than me. But I see parts of both of us in those.
Well, the way I view your play style and his play style in this respect is as him being the optimal player, while you play more like reliably. I mean, that's just my opinion. But,
reliable, as in
you go for the reliable stuff. I feel like more so than him. But that's just my opinion on it. Where do you weigh in on the heated debate we have at the moment between the vanilla versus the upper thing?
Oh, right. That's an interesting one, because, like, it's weird. It's like a debate that's come out of, like, I don't really see it as a problem that needs to be debated, but there's clearly, like, somehow a few sides to it. I feel like everyone's got a point, like, I'm really for both styles. I feel like when it comes to who likes what game, I don't think it's so much a matter about that. People just seem to have a philosophical disagreement about how to expand the community and which platform to focus on. But realistically, I think we can definitely cater for all the platforms. And I think right now the common consensus, and I agree with it, is that we should perhaps put a focus on vanilla, because that's where the majority of people have come from, and also it's most accessible. But having said that, we should, there's nothing wrong with, trying to grow the other platforms as well. So that's my opinion.
Yep. No, I agree with that 100%. That's my view.
So would you support having 2 tournaments, or would you say a vanilla tournament but upper for casuals?
Like, I guess my personal position will probably be on the latter. It's hard to say, right? Like, I think the main argument there is people are worried that having 2 tournaments will dilute the effort. I've spoken to a few people about that. I don't think that will be the case, because if they're going to be held on separate days and the separate tournaments, then it really shouldn't affect anyone. There's nothing stopping people from registering for both tournaments, So if you make that argument, realistically, the first option is just as feasible. It shouldn't actually affect anything. At the end of the day, we can hypothesize all we want, and we probably won't ever come to a full agreement with everyone. But ultimately, I think whatever the decision is made, let's just all get behind it, and because ultimately all of us have the same higher goal, and that's to rekindle the
beat the Japanese eventually.
Beat the Japanese.
Read the Japanese.
South Koreans first on this point.
Yeah.
I agree, but I disagree. I don't think we can, like Elo says this as well, I don't think we can accommodate everyone. But Elo says we can accommodate everyone. I don't know. I reckon there'll be somebody that would rather have upper, or would rather, not have upper at all. But I think for the most part, we're going in the right direction. But there's always going to be somebody that's unhappy. It's just reality.
Yeah, and I
just
think
get this kind of stuff settled early, and then that'll be the established view going forward. I think it's healthy.
Yeah, we need consistency on that. I reckon. For your character choices in the tournament, we had a bit of a dig at you in the last podcast about not using your optimal characters.
Yeah.
Going forward, what do you plan on doing with this?
I think I won't divert too heavily, but I am going to start diverting. Like, for instance, against certain people, like you probably would have seen in the game versus Georgiani, like I didn't feel like I was ever in that game. I got destroyed. And it also, you guys rightly pointed out, it kind of defies the purpose of playing in a tournament, a competitive tournament, if you're not even going to be competitive. So, against certain people, I probably will have to not be so restrictive in a character choice. But at the same time, Birdie, Dan, some of the guys I've been using, I actually really enjoy playing these characters. And I think it was Lukefitz. I think you hit the nail on the head with the motivation. Like, as in, I'm so used to playing a whole bunch of the other cast, and playing these characters is actually giving me more motivation to play the game and explore how I can exploit these characters and make them really powerful as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Who would you say is your strongest character?
Probably Adon, actually. It's
Really?
weird because he's not high up in the tiers, but I think because he's so unusual, people aren't used to fighting him, and he's also quite tricky. And then I guess I managed to exploit many of his strengths. There's still a bit of room for improvement, but I think overall, with the unpredictability and the fact that people aren't used to him, really kind of gives me an edge.
Yeah, I saw some of your matches earlier with Gizzle, and you were doing quite well with Adon.
Yeah, until the 11 win streak at the end where he just destroyed me.
Well, besides that, I didn't see that part, but I saw the part where you were winning.
Yeah, it was toe to toe for a while.
Well, for the tournaments, like, who would you say is somebody that you could see winning a tournament in the near future that hasn't won a tournament already?
Oh, good question. I have to go through the list. Where's the rankings list? Let me get that out.
So the winners have been you, Dr. Allo, Crapper, Georgiani.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. I've got the list of that. That makes it easier. So
I mean, Gizzle, if he chooses to enter.
Yeah, Gizzle, if he chooses to enter, hands down, he would definitely win one.
Let's say people that have already been entering tournaments.
Yeah, probably Sendo.
Just hoping he says your name, the Quest. Just fishing.
No.
I think you guys are not far from contending for titles. But at the moment,
Lukefitz is not a top 10 player anymore. So.
Oh no, yeah, has that been updated?
I know he hasn't updated it. He might be a top 10 player, but he has to.
I think I've repressed the rankings out. I'm not top 10. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's all numbers anyway.
You had a pretty strong tournament showing. You might be in the top 5 now.
Yeah.
Me or Lukefitz?
You, the Quest.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did alright in the last tournament, but I still felt a bit disappointed. But I always feel disappointed when I don't win.
You came third. How can you came third, right?
Yeah, but I wanted to come first.
The true heart of a champion.
But to be fair, both Crapper and Golf are the better players at the moment, so I can't blame it. I can't say, I only lost because of this or that. I lost fairly, and that's just the way it goes. I'm curious about the way you practice the game. Is there any kind of drills you do, or any sort of system you play on to practice it, or against other players?
That's a not a simple answer, because I guess these days I mostly just play. I mostly just verse people, because I think right now for me the most important thing is real match play, but I think in my earlier days, definitely I have a strong foundation because I practiced a lot in training mode and nailing combos, and so I think
on PS1 or on PC?
Sorry. No, actually on PlayStation with that bloody PlayStation controller. So transitioning to keyboard actually made it a lot easier, and that's when I really started playing Alpha heaps more, because I was able to pull off a lot more combos than I could without wrecking my thumb on the PlayStation controller.
What sort of moves do you find easier on the keyboard?
Pretty much everything. Nothing was easy on the PlayStation.
All I hear is the 360 is tough on the keyboard, but maybe that's just compared to stick.
Yeah, I reckon 360 is probably the most challenging. But at the same time, I don't find 360 360 is easy, but you'll notice that even with me, I don't really pull off the 360 without jumping. Yeah, you know what I mean, right? And I find 720
even with stick,
difficult.
people struggle with that, right? It's not easy to do walking 360.
Yeah, you might just end up jumping.
It's not, but it's easier on stick than keyboard from what a lot of people tell me. So.
Yeah,
I'd imagine you're pressing 4 buttons then instead of one smooth motion.
Yeah. Are there any players in particular that you learned from?
Yeah, probably Ashura, the Korean dude. A lot of the Japanese guys. But yeah, for instance with Ashura, one of the big things that I picked on, we're just really bad at or myself and Allo, we're particularly bad at exploiting when people recover a flip.
I noticed Gizzle is very good at that. He really punishes that.
Yeah, Gizzle and Ashura, like you'll notice that they punish a lot. Probably Ashura more so. Like he punishes with heaps of air hurricanes, with air throws, and he's on point. Like it's like almost anything you do, he knows he knows how to punish it. And then in a similar vein, I learned from Aloe as well, because we have very different styles. He has that systematic style of, if you do blah, I have these A, B, and C reactions. And
the flowchart style.
Yeah, the flowchart style. Yeah. And even though I fundamentally, like, I hate that kind of style, like, as in I would never. I hate
Dr. Aloe.
Like that. I hate Dr. Yeah, that's it. It's my.
Against the style, or you just don't like playing as the style? Or?
Yeah, I don't like playing as the style. Like I feel like that would be in conflict with of my essence.
Yeah, fair enough. I know what you mean. We all have our different play styles. We like to stick to, and that we know we're strong at.
Yeah, but I find that like there's truth in that. Like as we all get better, we're all converging towards the same thing. It's sort of like how they talk about almost any art or martial art or sport. You've got the ones who start off very mechanical, and then those who start off really chaotic, but then they all kind of merging towards the same thing. The one who's mechanical has to learn to break free from the rules and to be a bit more flexible, and the one who's chaotic has to actually eventually learn some sort of discipline and follow some sort of fundamental good principle.
What do you think about high level Alpha 3 play? Like, I know what you mean in that it all kind of at the very highest level, you can see it all kind of converge into B'ism, crouch cancels, like infinites, like V Akuma, V Dalsim, maybe Zangief, like Sodom. Like, what are your thoughts on that? As a high level game.
Yeah, that's a pretty broad question. Is there anything specifically you want me to?
I mean, I guess there's a lot of criticism that Alpha 3 at the highest level is too like all the same, and it's just dominated by a few like quite degenerate strategies. Whereas compared to like maybe, well, not even. I mean, you could argue that for Third Strike, but something like Super Turbo, there's a lot more like variants of characters and variants of style of play.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And it's tricky because I don't have too much of a frame of reference of a lot of other games. But I guess to me also, with most games, I think at the top level, for the most part, there is convergence. And in this case, that convergence is towards, B'ism being particularly powerful and crouch cancels. And yeah, it's debatable whether it's, boring or not. I mean, a lot of crouch cancel skills are really amazing, and you can pull off some really interesting combos with it. But I can
we see Crapper utilize them a fair bit.
Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, I can also appreciate that, it's not fun watching Vega just jump up and hit you with a light punch, or anyone, just a light punch or light kick for like 60 times while the clock runs down for, 30, 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Very specific in the way you said that.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's less variation than even like X-Men vs Street Fighter Infinites. At least they're varying up their moves. Whereas, like, this is just literally one punch.
So, on the topic of moves, what are some common mistakes you see beginner players make?
Or even intermediate.
Yeah, beginner to more intermediate. Yeah, like getting better.
Maybe rushing. Rushing is a good one, and I think even in some of our recent games together, like we've been able to highlight that. Like sometimes the difference between you guys winning that set and losing it was just maybe you had me and then you just rushed it. You went for a super, you panicked, or and I see that quite often. And I made the same mistakes, and I just learned from experience, and I'm sure the same thing's going to happen for you guys.
If you were to play a upper character, who would it be?
Probably Yun for sure, because I lied. Yeah, I did play a fair bit of Third Strike as well.
Lots of people like to keep that a secret.
Third Strike.
Third Strike.
Yeah, that's it.
I like that. But yeah, like I played a fair bit of Yun and Yang in that. Actually, I played a lot of the cast in that as well. But Yun and Yang were some of my mains, and so yeah, I could definitely see myself playing some Yun. I'm not sure. Is Maki in Upper?
Yes, actually, Maki is the most watched video on our YouTube channel. The playthrough.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if there's like I don't know if she's in I think she's in quite a few other games maybe, or maybe she's just a really interesting character. But yeah, I'm drawn to her just because like I played Guy, and she looks like she's got some really powerful combos. She looks fun to play.
All right, look, I got one more question. What appeals to you about Alpha 3 more than other Street Fighter games?
I think it's very technical, and the problem is I don't have too much of a frame of reference of a lot of Street Fighter games. But for instance, I think even with Third Strike, I think that it's a different level of technical skill for all of them. All of them require skill, but I find that with Alpha, some of the timing of some of these combos and the amount of practice you have to put in to execute these combos, and then not just that, to be able to execute it in the heat of the moment, in reaction to very specific conditions or mistakes of your opponent. It's very difficult, and it's quite, for me, pleasing to execute some of the more difficult things in a competitive environment. So that's what draws me to Alpha.
Yeah, definitely with the aerial mechanics and the Alpha counters and that sort of unique stuff we see in Alpha 3 that we don't see in other games.
It's even not just like pulling off an amazing combo, but like you said, with it could even just be pulling off a clutch Alpha counter at a very specific moment in time. Even something like that, for me can be very pleasing. Maybe they only had a few frames to pull it off at the right moment, so then the counter would actually hit instead of missing. Stuff like that.
Okay, so now we're moving into the tournament review section of the podcast. So we're reviewing tournament number 7. And the first match is a very significant game, which is my Ken against NovemberGolf's Honda. I think this was in winners or losers. I can't even remember now. But I went with the Ken rather than my normal Blanca just because I feel like the matchup's a little bit better against Honda. I've really struggled in the past. Going all the way back to ST, I just find Honda really hard to deal with as Blanca. And so, I thought Ken, I feel like the uppercut's really strong against a lot of the stuff that Honda does. What are your thoughts on this match, November Golf? What are you thinking as Honda? What's your kind of game plan?
Yeah, so for me, I guess the reason behind the Honda pick was mostly because I guess me and Aloe are hoping to, focus more on some of the more interesting characters that aren't used as much. And so Birdie was a bit of a fail last time, and I feel like my Birdie still has a fair bit of work to do before I can play him in a tournament. Honda for me is like he's been quite strong in a lot of my casual matches, and I feel like, again, similar to Adon, he's not conventional like a lot of other characters. So for me, he seemed like a pretty strong pick.
Yeah, you're right. He's got a very unusual style. Like maybe it's got aspects of Blanca, like, in the charge and like the headbutt, kind of similar in a way to blank balls, but a lot of differences as well. Like, there's not really another character in the roster that you could compare him to.
Yeah, like he's got a lot of like really, like the headbutt is really tricky like Blanca, but then at the same time he's got this really annoying cross-up splash, and you've probably seen me abusing it a fair bit throughout the round. And if anything, I think I'm probably relying a bit too much on the splash at the moment. I probably need to vary up my play a bit more.
So that's really tricky, that thing that you just hit me with at the end of the second round. The cross up, activate bees him, cross up with the splash, and then into Ochio. That's like, it's almost impossible to deal with. Like, you have to uppercut at just the exact right time, or like alpha counter or something.
Yeah. I'm not even too sure about the very specifics of escaping it, but I know that like some people jump when they see that first splash, and that's a way of potentially getting out of it.
Because it's not a true combo. It's not a true combo into a throw.
I think it depends. I think it depends on when I hit the splash. If I hit the splash too early, you can probably get out of it. But I think if I hit the splash at the right time, if you actually block that splash, you're screwed. I get a free 360. Yeah. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, unless you're playing Reason and you also you counter activate.
Yep.
The only other option you have is certain characters can alpha counter it as well. If you alpha counter the cross up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. So you've taken the first game there. I don't know. It was quite chaotic. I felt like I wasn't really able to establish a good zoning pattern. There was just a lot of missed upcuts, like quite a few jumps from both sides. Like, it's just an interesting game.
one thing I found that the Quest did really well against my Honda, and that's the reason why I had to change up and not use Honda against him. He spams the jabs, and that stops from abusing the headbutt.
So I was trying to uppercut them on reaction, but I just wasn't getting that many. I ended up blocking most of them.
Yeah, I've tried that as well. And it's pretty difficult to do that.
Yeah. Little nice panic super there, but it actually managed to hit. Now we're at full screen, probably 10% of life each. This is kind of the rushing part that you're talking about. So I'm walking myself into the corner.
Yeah, you're doing all right.
I'm doing a lot of random uppercuts.
You've got the right idea with the fireball. Oh, nice. I'm not sure if I might have mashed that. Yeah, I think just then, I don't know if you're able to check it out later. I'm pretty sure that throw should have killed me, but I mashed it, and that.
So you get the reduced damage.
Yeah, you've noticed that Honda flashed red for a very split second.
How does that work?
Yeah, so if you mash the throwing action as they're throwing you, obviously sometimes you tech if you do it early enough, but if you're late, you can still reduce the damage. And so against someone like Georgiani, who throws you 20 times in every game, that damage reduction could mean you survive and get thrown another 5 times.
Yeah, exactly. So there you're getting some of the splash cross-up pressure.
Yeah.
Wake up hands. Yeah, that's it. So that's the 2 games. Okay, so the second match that we're covering is the Quest against NovemberGolf. This is the first time that they played in the tournament. So the Quest obviously playing Charlie against NovemberGolf's Honda. So what's your kind of game plan as Charlie? You're just trying to turtle it out, the Quest?
Yeah, I mainly try to turtle it out. My aim is to stop him from flying in with the headbutt. So you'll see me throwing out a lot of jabs to stop him doing that.
Yep.
And throwing fireballs as well.
So it's interesting you got punished there. You were crouching and spamming jab, and then he got the butt slam and punished it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think this is a really bad matchup for Honda, personally.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the tools to get around the fireball traps and the zoning.
Yeah, it's a classical bad matchup in Street Fighter 2 as well.
Yeah, true.
Oh, guard break. Wow, that's just really good corner pressure.
If he throws the jabs out again, he just jumps into it.
Yep.
Again, still throwing the jabs.
That's just disrespectful. Full screen, just spamming jab.
I gotta show respect. I'm afraid from him, even from the full screen. I'm scared of him, so I gotta throw the jabs out, keep him away.
Yeah. Well, there was a point there before where he supered from full screen in the jab beaters. That's hitbox on the jab.
Oh yeah, well it's just a bad hitbox on the super.
Yeah.
So you get the jab.
Yeah, it's
so I do want to jump in and get him, but I want to do it on my terms, where the position is good for me. I don't want to overreach. So when he jumps in, he rushes in, he's in a bad position. I try to counter him with a jump in.
What was that super? Was that Burmese?
I was trying to get a read on him. I thought he would jump.
Yeah. Georgiani.
Yeah, I was also close to breaking his guard as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Good block there on the butt slam. Oh, we get thrown. So yeah, what are you thinking as Honda in this match? November.
And I didn't know the matchup as well. Obviously, you guys seem to have some background in that. And I was discovering as the game was going that it was really difficult to get in. Those jabs and the sonic booms made it really difficult. So I'm just trying to get in and try to put a lot of pressure, close-up pressure, and get some of those 360s in.
That's the best part when I stop your super with the jab.
Yeah. Again.
I started realizing that the super just sucks. Or in this context anyway.
It's pretty awful. So this is why you changed to Vism. Is that why?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think another thing you did really well with the air-to-air is you were beating me, and I think in hindsight I really need to use the jumping medium punch and beat you in some of those air-to-airs.
Yeah, I was winning a lot of air-to-airs.
So you're jumping in a lot still. The Quest, it's not. You're definitely not just passively sitting back and sonic booming all the time.
Yeah, I think I got a bit confident after my first win, so that's why I came in more.
Yeah,
I was I found a way to get in. I can see weaknesses, and now I'm gonna take more chances.
really good flush kick there that traded, but I don't know how you charge that. Because Honda doesn't have any amazing anti-airs. Like, what do you do? Jab, headbutt as to anti-air, or like stand fierce? Or something?
It's usually stand ground counts, but I, as you can see, I'm not very. I don't use it very often. And like that's an area of my game I can improve. My anti-airing with Honda is pretty abysmal right now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I saw you there going for it. Oh, just building up the V's and with throws. High level tactic.
Yeah, I keep jumping in because I'm predicting he's going to jump, but he just doesn't jump.
Yeah,
That's why I keep doing his anti-jumps.
And does Honda have reliable Vs in like corner carry or anything, or is it mainly just those loops with the crossover and going for OGO?
No, he actually has a few options, but I'm not very good at them even in casual play, let alone in competitive play. So that's why you'll see me really abusing and over relying on those 360 loops. One thing he does have is like it's like a crouching white kick and then the standing fierce slap, and then he cancels that into headbutt, and then he's gone to sort of not infinite but repeated headbutts until the corner, and then in the corner you just repeat headbutt.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then another option
sounds
you can
pretty technical to cancel the hands.
Yeah, it's tricky. And then another slightly interesting mix-up you can do is when you've knocked them down, you can activate these and then do a butt slam to you, and you can catch it on the other side, and then you can start the headbutts.
Yeah, that's interesting. Wow,
how did it feel to be with Honda?
What's that?
When you were cornered with Honda, like, what are your options to get out against Charlie?
Man. Probably out like just then as we saw, you just guy crushed me again. I think you've done that at least 3 times this set. So you're doing that really well. And for me, I think I need to alpha counter more. Maybe throw in some random the butt slam thingy to try and just be unpredictable with my movement. And then sometimes when you're jumping,
yeah, predicting the fireball and jumping.
Yeah.
I really like the feature they added to Honda in HD Remix where his jab headbutt goes through fireballs.
Yeah, right.
That really helped in this game as well.
He led into the Sonic Boom.
Oh, look at that. You kicked me into your Sonic Boom. Just insult to injury.
That's the worst way to lose.
That might be one of your best tournament games ever, Quest.
Yeah, it could be. I also got the win against Salty, who beat me in a previous tournament, so that meant a lot to me as well.
Grudge match.
Yeah, it was a grudge match. So. But yeah, it was a decent showing of me that tournament.
Yep. Okay, and the third match that we're covering here is the Quest. So after winning that game against NovemberGolf, he went on to play against Crapper, who's playing V Cody, which is interesting. Not a character that we've seen, but a very weird character with the kind of dodge mechanics. So for those not familiar, if V Cody blocks any move that's not high or low, so something that like a fireball or a move that's just hits both a blocking and standing opponent, he doesn't actually block it. He just dodges it. It does no chip and doesn't kind of diminish the guard meter at all. But in return, he has a very short guard meter, so it's very easy for him to get guard crushed by other moves. But yeah, just a really unique character trait. Have you guys had much experience playing against B Cody? I find it to be a very unusual matchup. A lot of your normal kind of techniques often don't work.
Yeah, I struggled in this matchup against the dodging because I like to pressure them with my jabs and my low kicks and all that. But it was just dodging it.
Boom. Yeah.
It was tricky for me. It's something I had to learn and adapt to. But a Honda match, I'm very, very familiar with it.
Like just right there, he dodged your Sonic Boom and just punished you. Like it's unique to V Cody.
Yeah, that doesn't normally happen. With other characters.
Yeah, from that range, that's a really good time to Sonic Boom.
It messes with my strategy because I'm like a pressure kind of fighter. I like to zone, but I like to throw out hitboxes a lot. But he just keeps dodging and countering, and I found it a bit frustrating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be very difficult because you rely a lot on those Sonic Booms to sort of maintain the tempo.
Yeah, the tempo and the pressure. That's what I try.
Yeah.
Even against someone like Sakura, who, a very common string might be to do the back fierce move and then follow it up with a fireball, he's just going to dodge both of those. Like, you just leave yourself open to be punished. But not really using V'sm to the full extent. Like, I think Cody's a very strong V character as well. Like, you see, I think it's Ver, like one of the strongest Japanese players, playing Cody, and his V'sm and like infinite and everything is just really like difficult for him to deal with. But I don't think Kraft's quite got that down yet.
Yeah, agreed. And I think I think he'll get there. He's a very technical player. I reckon he'll be able to, like, because the Cody's aren't very difficult to. Oh, he has some really, really difficult ones, but his basic one is really simple. It's just there's repeated kicks with a slide in between.
Yeah, right. Well, good activation there. But he drops it.
He's got the right idea though, because he's throwing out that criminal upper, and that's the whiff that you want.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, again there, punishing the whiff sonic boom with a sweep. But the downside is quite strong. So if he blocks you sweeping a few times or like jumping in and sweeping, that's already like half his guard meter down. And if he gets guard broken once, he goes to just 2 bars, which you can actually break with one block string sometimes. So it's almost game over at that point. So it does come with a drawback for Cody.
What I needed to do more is grab, because he was just standing there blocking so much.
Yeah.
I went for a few more grabs, I would have got him. I got him once in that last round, but yeah, I could have landed a few more if I changed my strategy around that.
There you go. That's a nice way. Really teched it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's just a face-off in the corner, but he's just dodging everything.
He's dodging. Yeah. Yeah, so I play a fair bit of Cody as well, and like one thing that I often do is actually what Crap is doing, staying in that corner. What I'm actually hoping is to go up and grab you, so then suddenly you're in the corner. So I don't have to like try and corner you. I just let you corner me, and then I try and reverse it onto you.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I've got a time advantage here, so I just sit back a bit, but then he counters me there. Yeah, I went for a grab, but it didn't work, and then I just crouching strong.
Yeah, what in that situation you got to say? Yeah, you just shimmied and punched him trying to tech it. That's the justification.
Yeah.
Now he's getting strong pressure.
He's really making use of dodging those sun finger and sweeping.
Yeah, he did well there.
He misses a V'sm again there. Oh, just facing off. You're doing well fighting out of the corner. Like, you're definitely not panicking and jumping in, but just soup it as soon as I said that.
Yeah, one of those panic supers that NovemberGolf was referring to earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, see, there you go. You get the guard break and he's down to 2 meters. Yeah, and you see when he has the 2 meters, you just swept him and he blocked it and already was in danger of guard break.
Yeah, it'd be really good if you save the super for when you're about to guard break and use the super to actually just finish off the job.
Yeah. Yep.
So Kraft actually thought this was 2 out of 3, so he exited the game, and then he came back, and then he chose A's and Cody, so he was disqualified for 1 round.
Yeah.
So that's why you're gonna see a whole round of me doing what I should have done before, which is grab him.
Bit of a teabag there, I saw that. That was cheeky from Crapper.
Yeah, he gets in a bit of trouble with the teabagging.
Well, I thought that was just a really high-level match where it was just you just kept out mind-gaming him and just kept throwing him.
Yeah, I was resisting his teleport powers, but his telekinesis powers.
Yep.
And instead I threw him.
Oh, nice.
I don't think we've seen that.
Wow. It's like 20%, maybe more.
Yeah.
Very solid.
It's been quite a back and forth match. Like, it's been definitely, both people with a valid chance to win.
Yeah. With that slide kick that Cody does, is it punishable on block?
I think it is. Yeah, it's not safe. Maybe at a very specific distance, it might be safe, but even then, I'm pretty sure it's not completely safe, especially when you're versing someone like Dalsim or something like that, and just hit you from.
Well, nothing's safe against Dalsim. Stuff on hit isn't safe against him half the time.
Yeah. Oh man, that was a really nice standing medium kick there.
It's definitely a move I have to utilize more.
Yeah. Were you like moving backwards as you did that? Because I think you can sort of move backwards or forwards with that one as you're doing it.
Yeah, I was moving backwards with that one.
Yeah, so that's actually something that I see quite a lot of the higher level Charlies do. They use it, they mix it up between that standing medium kick and some standing pierces and the standing roundhouses.
Yeah, I find a lot of people fall for it if I go backwards with the kick and then I throw a Sonic after it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
They tend to rush in. But...
Yeah, because not many normals carry you back in this game. Very few.
Yeah, that standing roundhouse is so strong for Charlie.
But yeah, some impressive pressure and footsies from cover with Cody as well. Like it's quite different style to his Vega, I reckon. But he's doing really well. Not having played the character that much.
Yeah, earlier in the tournament I was able to use my super well, but later on I wasn't feeling it. So it was a shame I couldn't get it out properly in this set.
Even there, you crossed him over, and then I guess he missed the combo, but just like crossed over into jabs, and he dodges them and punches you. Like it's such a weird mechanic. I can't think of any other Street Fighter game that has that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very unique, and he also has this other really unique move that we haven't seen Crapper use yet. That bad spray when he lands and he throws some sand at you. Yeah, he's a very unique character.
The one he does from Wake Up, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, so this is onto the finals. November Golf playing against Crapper, so the winners of the games that we just covered. And this must be November Golf coming through losers, having lost to the Quest, and Crapper and winners. Is that right? Or the other way around?
Yeah,
Anyway,
no, that's right.
So some serious high-level tactics straight away, just both crouching in the corner. I mean, we've covered this on the previous show. I think even the title of the episode was about this, just Crapper's kind of degenerate turtle style. But, Honda able to punish it quite well with, with a 360. Like, if you can catch him blocking, you can do a good chunk of damage, off the throw.
Yeah, and I don't feel like he can't really run from me as well, because I've got the headbutt that really closes the gap. So he's kind of forced to fight me, or else just keep popping headbutts.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Good activation there. He's very consistent with the V's and just full screen carry.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes him so strong. You just will get punished for jumping in, a large percentage of times. But you take the first round there. That's really strong showing.
Yeah, I felt pretty comfortable with this matchup.
Okay, yeah. Good pressure in the corner again. Now that backflip has some very funny properties. Crapper always uses that in the corner, and it's invincible for so long. It moves just kind of whiff from it, and he seems to be able to not get punished from it. It's really interesting properties on that backflip move. I think is it that you press 3 kicks, or is it a charge one? Or?
Oh, I'm not sure actually. I haven't really played Vega. I think it is 3 kicks, but hopefully someone will be able to verify that. But yeah, you're right. Very long invincibility, and it's so annoying, especially when they use it as a reversal.
Yep. Yeah, just eat stuff. You can sometimes you can wank a ball and it will just go straight through it. It'll just no one gets hit at all. It's a very weird move. But so the second game's on Vega's stage, and he's actually got the kind of wall climbing mechanics. So he actually has an advantage on his own home stage. I don't know if Crapper uses that in tournament, but he definitely uses it other times, and it's very tricky. You can climb up on that chain link wall and jump off it, and it's really difficult to deal with.
Yeah, I imagine it's the ultimate timeout strategy as well. You can just jump onto the thing and just wait 3 seconds. Yeah,
exactly. That was a good counter B activation there. Oh, and again from...
Yeah. Some pretty good play from Crapper.
Yep. You definitely use that whiff throw to build meter. Definitely an aspect of your play with Honda.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, most of my characters, it's just worthwhile. It's just how in Third got people just randomly throwing punches just to build meter.
Yep. Yeah, it's annoying in this game. Blanca's hop doesn't build meter, whereas it doesn't super turbo, and it's really powerful for him. But in super turbo, his super is terrible. In this game, it's at least usable. There you go. There's the climbing mechanic.
Yeah. I actually find it's not that powerful. Like, you just wait and then just throw out a normal or an anti-air at the right time. So I don't find it to be an overpowered move or anything like that. But
I don't know. I've often struggled against it. I feel like they wouldn't make it too overpowered because it would just like wreck competitive play if it's like dependent on the stage.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I remember struggling against it in the past. Good bees him again there. He's very happy to just sit back and wait for the opponent to come to him crapper. He's got really good patience.
Yeah, which is surprising because he was behind quite a few of these games, which is why I felt really comfortable with the matchup, because I knew that my Beezum did a lot more damage than his. So even if he hit me with it, I could just chase him down.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think he's realised that it's not going so well, and so switched his Geef for the third game.
Yeah, I don't think Vega makes another appearance, so he obviously made a deliberate choice to get a stronger matchup and a stronger character.
Yeah. Now, Geef is traditionally like considered really strong in this game, right? Like he's one of the top tiers.
Yeah, that splash, like his splash and his lariat. His lariat's so powerful, and his Beezum is just so strong.
Yep. Yeah, the damage that lariat does is ridiculous.
Yeah, and you can just spam it, and it's mostly invincible to a lot of things. Like, I learned way too late that I was copying a lot of lariats just from flying into them.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, that was interesting. I think even went for the Beezum activation lariat, but I think you V activated and beat it. Couldn't punish the droid there.
Yeah. I was lucky I had the Beezum, because otherwise, the lariat's otherwise pretty difficult to counter at that close range.
Yeah, it's even beating your headbutt.
Yeah, I think I needed to do that more. The crouching fierce that Honda has, it's like a secondary sweep that he has, and it's got pretty good range.
Yep. Yeah, it might go under. I can imagine it going under the hitbox of the lariat.
Yeah, you'll notice I get it a few times, and quite a few times I'm trying and I'm not closing the gap quick enough.
Yep.
But yeah,
it's not a really range, right?
Yeah, and it's slow on startup, so I have to pretty much walk up and then do it, and usually by then he stops spinning.
Yep. Yeah, and he can bait it out. Like he can lariat, you walk up, and then he jumps over you and like cross up or something.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, solid counter.
Yep.
He's got it was really good reactions. It's almost like he's looking out for it.
Good pile driver there. He's got good execution with Geef. Like he doesn't quite have the Beezum like as solid as his Vega, but just really good 360s. Good lariats. Like I wonder if he's using one button for the 3 punches. I feel like that would be quite helpful.
Well, and that's one thing he's really good at, that Kabuki cancel. Man, he nailed me a few times with that.
Yeah, so he takes that game. So best 3 out of 5 for the finals. So you're up 2-1 and switch to birdie. What's the thinking behind switching to birdie?
Just to mix it up, and then I didn't realize the matchup is that bad, but I found out later on after the tournament that it was actually a really bad matchup for birdie. But I thought that jumping medium kick is actually a pretty good air-to-air, and so I was hoping to just sort of keep him away and just hopefully land a lot of those and then get some 360s on him.
Yeah, what do you think of Birdie as a character? Like, I kind of struggle to conceptualize how he's actually good. Like, I don't know, I've never really struggled against him that much, and he just seems like a worse Zangief almost. Like, I feel like his rushes aren't really that scary. Like, he's got some good stuff with the throws, but, not really better than Sodom or Zangief. Like, I don't know, what do you like about Birdie as a character?
To be honest, like, you hit the nail on the head. I feel the same way, but at the same time, like, I just think he's a pretty unique character, and I think right now my level of play is not as good as I'd like it to be. So he can be played much better, but for the most part, if you're talking about players of the same skill level, Birdie kind of loses most matchups.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. He's a cool character. It'd be good if he was good.
I think he's almost like a sort of a Dan. Like he's almost intended to be a bit of a joke as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah. What you think, is Dan for real? Like, can you actually beat good players with Dan, or is he a complete joke character?
Nah, I think in this game, without intending to, he's actually pretty good. His specials are actually mostly bad, probably as intended, but his normals are surprisingly really powerful, and that's what makes him competitive in this game.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe definitely some kind of hidden advantage as well, in that most players aren't going to have played against many, people playing Dan are normally just taking the piss, so that people aren't experienced at playing a serious Dan.
Yeah, definitely. There might be a bit of a psychological factor as well, because I know that with the Quest he was expressing, annoyance at losing to Dan, and maybe that plays on people's minds as well, and gives Dan a bit of a psychological advantage.
Yep. I mean, the Quest has refused to cover the tape of you beating him with Dan. What do you have to say about that, Quest? He's gone.
He's dropped out.
I'm not here.
He's just stunned.
He's just trembling in anger.
What do you have to say for yourself?
I have nightmares every day about it. It replays in my mind. Yeah.
Oh,
No, he outplayed me in that one. But yeah, I maintain my position that Dan is a low tier character.
Wow.
Yeah, he's definitely in the lower tiers. But it can be used really powerfully, like any character, and pretty much most fighting games. If you're a good player, you'll be able to find ways to exploit things.
Yeah, for sure. Who is the worst character in the game?
I think it'd have to be tied between Mika and Birdie.
Oh, really, Mika? I thought she's got some strong stuff. There's not many players in Australia that really play that much.
Yeah, she does have some strong stuff, and I think she also benefits from being one of the least used characters, so she can surprise people. But I think if you're talking about priority of moves, how much you can abuse them and whatnot, she's definitely in the low tier. Whether she's worse or not is debatable.
Yeah, I agree. I think both of them are the worst characters in the game. I reckon more so Birdie's, but both are down there.
Yeah.
But it's a testament to the quite good balance of the game that, obviously at high levels certain characters will dominate, but at just casual play or even kind of intermediate play, that Mika or Birdie are very playable. There's no real complete garbage characters.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the 5th one he's used. He's very reliable with that Katobi cancel. It's just VCing right after the headbutt.
So that you're just spamming the throw to build meter.
Yeah,
there's not much he can do. He's really got to rush you down to stop you from doing that.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm also headbutting into a lot of flurries. Oh man, again. Lost count of how many times.
But you end up winning that game, so that takes the first set, and then it goes to the grand final reset. So I guess because you were in losers. So it ends up being a pretty long set when it's 2 best out of 5s. You're playing kind of 10 games plus. You can really settle in.
Yeah. And at the same time, being a long set, I think quite often it becomes a matter of who's got the longer endurance to focus as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I often find, even just playing people casually on Fightcade, that the first couple of games are often a bit closer, and then the real skill will eventually show out once both people kind of know each other's tricks a little bit, and it comes down to just more pure skill. So it's actually good to have the longer sets for the finals.
Yeah.
I think longer sets would favor someone like Giorgiani, who's good at adapting to people.
Yep. Yeah. So 1 or 2 games, he can't pick up your tendencies.
Yeah, I think someone like Dr. Elo would do better in shorter sets against Giorgiani, for example. That's my opinion.
It's a bit like a T20 versus test match kind of situation.
And he says it too. He says, "I'm going to adapt to what you're doing," and he does it.
So
mind games going on there.
Oh, it's funny. He adapts, but he does the same thing. It's still throwing. He's offensive. What just happened?
Well, he picks up on your pattern, but he does the same tactic.
Yeah, he's got a limited set of tools, but he uses them differently against different players, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Man, that corner pressure from Geef is amazing. Just the splash just counter hits with everything. It's like it does so much damage.
How does Honda's splash compare to Zangief's?
Probably better in terms of cross up, but not as good in terms of priority. And I think Geef is just more of a splash hitbox. Like it's huge. It's like you can't escape from it. It's like you're just like constantly facing a rock slide or an avalanche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job headbutting. Well, I don't know if it's jab, but headbutting
it's
against
jab.
the splash there.
Yeah. I think I only started to pick that up later, but you'll notice in the previous sets and even probably for the rest of the game, that splash, I didn't have many answers for that.
Yep. And we saw some of those crouching fierce to beat the lariat as well. You're definitely starting to hit them more in this game.
Yeah, and I think what I'm also trying to do is he's lariating randomly a lot, and so what I'm trying to do is then mix it up with like my jumping in roundhouse, which has got quite good range, and I actually hit him out of it.
Yep. But yeah, that lariat beats headbutt clean pretty much. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, and depending on the timing, you'll notice like a few times throughout the set, like I get hit all three hits the lariat, and that's just painful. Like for doing nothing, or him doing nothing, and me just taking a risk, I suddenly lose like almost a quarter of my life.
Yeah, that's huge.
I just gave me a dose of my own medicine with the activation.
Yeah. You get the time over there. That's pretty amazing from two quite high damage characters. Like, there's a lot of mind games in this set, for sure. So you really adapted well with your Honda, like like struggling the first couple of games against him, but then you really like picked up some things in the match that are working out.
Yeah, one thing is you've done less headbutts and more sweeps to stop the lariat.
Yeah, and I think actually you'll notice he's actually adapting really well as well. So we're both constantly shifting.
Yeah.
You find that like he was struggling a lot with certain things, but then he then starts to vary on his play, throwing out the lariat hits and some of those little annoying jabs as well.
Yep. Yeah, you can see the metagame evolve just like through the course of a few games.
Yeah, I think what my impression was, we were both kind of learning the matchup as we were playing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because not many Hondas like play at a reasonable level. Like it's rare that you run into someone like compared to the number of times you play.
Yeah, and even as Honda, I'm not used to all the matchups because I've only taken him up recently, and I don't face that many Geefs. Aloe doesn't really use him that much anymore, and so the only other person is probably Crapper.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like people say, in terms of ST, that it's a game of more of matchups than of tiers. So like there's some low tier characters that just randomly have really good matches against higher tier characters, and like it's very matchup specific. So like there's less characters, so it's easy to learn all of them. Whereas some, I feel like in Alpha 3 there's less emphasis on just like really learning the details of each specific match. I don't know if that's just because there's more characters and it's hard to learn all of them, or more stuff translates to the whole cast, or I don't know what's going on there.
I think one of the main reasons is the fireballs are not as prominent in Alpha 3 as they are in ST. Because there are some characters in ST who just can't close distance on fireballs. Where here
or it defines the whole game.
Yeah.
Like Blanco against Ryu or something, the whole game is just can Blanco get over the fireballs, whereas he's got almost every character has more tools.
That's the question.
Yeah, fireballs, they can be powerful in this. Like it is definitely possible to zone people out, but you don't see as many people kind of emphasize it.
Yeah, you can't. The air blocking and the less damage, because the further the fireball travels, the less damage it does in this game.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really good feature.
Yeah, when you play Honda, what range do you want to be in against Zangief?
That's a really weird one because I kind of need to close the distance to do damage, but at the same time against Geef, you don't really want to be close to him as well. So I guess we're both kind of closing in, and that's where the matchup is, I think, perhaps slightly in favor of Geef because he just does so much more damage and he's got higher priority on his 360s.
Yeah. So you switch to Dan. The first round, Dan's pretty classic. Like he just kind of walking around, and then you hit him with a full level 3 super, like first hit. Welcome to the playground.
Yeah. but it's tricky. Like he just lands two or three little things, and then it's even again.
Yeah,
that's a difficult thing with Dan. You've got to work so hard for your damage.
Oh, he has a lot less life than other characters, does he?
Like in hindsight, did you find Honda or Dan to be better against his Geef?
I don't know. They both fared pretty well, and I think it was just because he wasn't used to how to play it. And in answer to Luke's, no, he doesn't have a lower life or anything, but he just I do my damage really fragmented. Like I essentially hit a lot of normals, whereas for him, he's probably doing the same, but his normals do massive damage, and his lariat, he lands one lariat. That's like 4 of my pokes, so I have to risk trying to get 4 pokes while he just lands one lariat or even again.
Yep. Yeah, your super's only the main way that you have doing big damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are you're saying Dan has some really good normals, like what are some of your go-to pokes whatever with Dan?
Yeah, he's got this standing medium punch that's a really strong meaty. Like it has really crap range though, so you don't really throw it out much in the middle of the game, or in the middle of the screen. But when you score a knockdown, you'll find that a lot of the time Dan players will run up to you and just land that meaty punch, that medium punch on you. And then that puts you in an advantage with the frames, and so you can follow up with other stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. And then even just standing medium kick, crouching medium kick, they're pretty good pokes as well. And my crouching medium punch, you'll notice me throwing that out a lot, and that's a surprising, deceivingly good anti-air. I think I even beat it.
Oh, really? Wow. What
is it like Charlie's medium punch when he crouches?
Yeah, the better priority, I think, than even Charlie. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think, just from my experience.
Yeah, you might be right.
You don't seem to use his uppercut hardly ever.
Only in combos. It's super unsafe. It's almost a pure vertical move. It doesn't have any horizontal range.
Okay.
It's almost useless as an anti-air.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
There's an interesting mechanic where...
vertically, is it worse than Ryu's or?
What's that?
The vertical
is good.
Is it worse than Ryu's on Dan's?
Oh, I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, what were you saying before? There's an interesting mechanic.
Yeah, I think I can't remember the specific number. I think 1 in 27 or so. 1 in 27 of basically.
You can't remember the specific number, but it's about 27.
About 27, yeah.
Very specific.
Pretty much the 27th move or whatever the number is, 23rd or 27th move. Dan, if you use an uppercut on that with Dan, he flashes twice, and it's a super high priority uppercut.
What?
But it has to be the 27th. Yeah, well, you don't have to count it. Sometimes it comes out seemingly randomly, but it's not random. You can actually time it. That's definitely not my time.
Is it like guaranteed one in X amount? Is that what you mean by it?
Yeah. So let's just say I throw out 22 normals, and then right after that I do an uppercut. It will be a super really high invincibility uppercut.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, but the horizontal range remains almost non-existent. So.
Yeah, so many secrets in this game. The mechanics, I mean...
Yeah. It has to be one of the most densely packed games Capcom's ever released. Like, so many, activating the no-ism, there's like a weak-ism that you can do by holding down different buttons, like all the characters with weird mechanics and the different isms, there's just so much packed into this game.
Yeah, it really pops Capcom. And it's interesting because even one of the features that probably wasn't intended, the crouch cancels, actually became something that was, quite definitive and made it really a unique game. And I think as much as crouch cancels get a bad rap, they're actually a really cool part of the history of the game, and even looking forward to it as well.
It would be fascinating to hear more in English from the designers at Capcom. Some of the to create games that are as well balanced and as interesting that they're still being played 20 years later, that's a real feat. They achieved it just time after time. So many of these games from kind of the mid 90s to the early 2000s are just perfectly balanced, really interesting, really different to each other. Yeah, just be fascinating to get more insight from those guys. So Geef picks up the round. I think this is the last round, right?
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah, it's been just really back and forth set. It's struggled to say who's been on top. Like, it's been moments for both players. Like, switch back from Dan to Honda. It's been just kind of really back and forth.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of it has just been both of us adapting to each other.
Yeah.
I think I got a little bit lucky with the win on the Dan, but then he got used to the matchup and pretty much won very convincingly. So I knew I had to switch back to Honda.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting the like character change or counter picking. Like in a lot of the really big tournaments, like in your Evo or whatever, you don't see many people change characters or counter pick, but it does seem quite powerful because you can often pick up a game for free just on the back of like unfamiliarity or then just.
I think in Japan the rules are you can't actually like change character. I know for Super Turbo that's true.
Oh wow!
It might be true for Alpha.
Yeah. Definitely, their view is much more like character purist based. So thanks for joining us on this episode of Alpha Lives Street Fighter Alpha podcast. It's a bit of a mouthful.
Alpha Lives podcast.
Just the Alpha Lives podcast. Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, that's what it's called. The Alpha Lives podcast.
Okay. I'll have to get on message.
The Alpha Lives.
No, I specifically said it's pronounced lives, not. I feel like Alpha Lives is a bit of a sad name for a podcast, to be honest.
It sounds like we're celebrating all the dead Alpha players and.
Yeah, and the companion podcast, Alpha Deaths.
Yeah, and all the people that got banned, like that guy today in Discord.
Yep. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll be back probably in 2 weeks' time with another podcast covering the next tournament. Talk to you then. Signing off.